Have you ever woken up in the morning with the feeling that the world has already defeated you? I'm not just talking about the alarm clock going off too early, or the tiredness that has lingered from the day before. I'm talking about that internal feeling, that tightness in your chest, that whirlwind of thoughts telling you that you have to hurry, that you must be more productive, that you cannot fail, that voice that reminds you of the endless list of tasks, the fears, the insecurities, that feeling that, even before you've fully opened your eyes, you're already in a race you don't know how to win. Perhaps, looking at yourself in the mirror, you've asked, who am I really today? Am I living the life I want? Or am I just letting it pass me by? It's easy to feel lost in the chaos of modern life, in the constant search for happiness that often seems to be always one step beyond our reach. We feel we are at the mercy of circumstances, constantly reacting to what the world throws at us, without a rudder, without an internal compass. But what if every morning could be different? What if you could start the day not with stress and anxiety, but with an anchor of calm and clarity? What if instead of letting the world define you, you could choose how you are going to face the day? Imagine a path forged by wisdom that has withstood the test of centuries, a philosophy that doesn't ask you to escape reality, but teaches you to face it with strength, serenity, and purpose. That path is Stoicism, and in this space, we are going to use it as a guide. We are going to turn those chaotic mornings into a sacred ritual. Stoicism is not a philosophy of people without emotions. It is not a search for happiness through hedonism. It is something much deeper and more practical. It is a manual of instructions for living. For the Stoics, happiness or eudaimonia is not something you find. It is something you cultivate. It is the result of living in harmony with nature, with reason, and above all, with your own virtue. The great Stoic masters like Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius were not theorists locked away in a tower. They were leaders, advisors, emperors, and slaves. People who faced the same challenges we do: loss, injustice, fear, uncertainty, and their teachings, captured in their writings, are not sermons. They are tools, they are meditations, they are a way to train our minds. On this journey, we are going to wake up with purpose. We are going to explore 12 Stoic meditations. Don't worry, it's not an academic course, it's an experience. Each meditation is designed to last between 10 and 12 minutes, just enough for you to soak in its essence and carry it with you throughout your day. They are 12 anchors for the soul, 12 lessons for the mind, one for each morning, so that every new dawn is not a reminder of what you have to do, but an opportunity to be who you truly want to be. So, take a deep breath, get comfortable, and get ready to begin. We are going to start the day not as victims of circumstances, but as the masters of our own peace. One, accept what you cannot control. Happiness and freedom begin with a clear understanding of one thing. Some things are within our control, and some things are not. Epictetus. This is the cornerstone of Stoicism, the starting point for all inner peace. Think about your daily life. How much of your energy do you spend worrying about things that are completely beyond your reach? You worry about traffic, the weather, what people think of you, the past, the future, other people's decisions. And in that cycle of worry, you forget the only thing you can truly control: your mind, your actions, your reactions. Imagine you are on a boat. The waves, the circumstances of life are huge, and the wind chance is strong. You cannot control the storm. You cannot order the sea to be calm, but you can control the sails. You can control the rudder. You can control your attitude toward the storm. You can choose whether to shout in panic or calmly adjust your course to weather the squall. Stoicism teaches us to direct our attention to where we can truly have an impact. Acceptance is not resignation, it is liberation. Imagine David, a talented designer, presenting his most ambitious project to his boss. He worked sleepless nights, polishing every detail, but in the meeting, the boss decided to reject it completely, opting for a more conservative idea. David feels a terrible rage, frustration, and a sense of injustice. He could have yelled, he could have quit, he could have been depressed for days. Instead, David remembers the lesson. He could not control his boss's decision, his vision, or his fear of risk, but he could control his reaction. Instead of sinking, he took a deep breath, asked for constructive feedback, and decided to use that experience to improve his next project. Channeling his frustration into productive force, he freed himself from bitterness by letting go of what he could not change. Think about something that has been keeping you up at night. Is it someone's opinion? An event from the past? A possible problem in the future? Ask yourself, can I control this really? If the answer is no, why are you giving it your power? It's time to let go, to release that energy and redirect it towards something that is in your hands. Today, let go of control. Direct your energy only to what is yours. Everything else is noise. The only true power you have is that of your own mind. To the present is the only moment that exists. Remember that you have no power over the future or over the past, only over the present. Live here and now. Seneca, we live in a constant mental time machine. We torment ourselves with yesterday's mistakes and agonize over tomorrow's challenges. But the past is a movie that has already ended, and the future is a script that has not yet been written. The only real moment, the only place where life happens, is the now. Stoicism invites us to anchor ourselves in the present, not to let our minds wander toward regrets or fears. When you are eating, eat. When you are working, work. When you are with your loved ones, be present with them. Anxiety is the price we pay for living in the future. Depression is the price for living in the past. Peace, clarity, and fulfillment are found in the simple act of being here. Julia had spent the whole week worried about a crucial presentation she had on Friday. Her mind kept anticipating every possible problem. What if I forget something? What if they don't like my idea? What if they laugh at me? These worries stole her sleep, took away her appetite, and made her irritable with her family. When Friday came, the presentation went well, but at the end of the day, she realized something. She hadn't enjoyed the week. She had sacrificed her peace and her present time for an uncertain future that, in the end, had not even materialized in the way she feared. She understood that her true suffering was not the event itself, but her own mind anticipating it. What is robbing you of this moment? A regret, a plan, a fear? Try to identify it and, for an instant, breathe and sit down. Feel the air in your lungs, the chair under your body. Bring your mind back, like a dog that has run away, and tell it, this is the only moment that matters. The past is gone. The future has not yet arrived. Live this day. Feel this instant. Here and now is where life unfolds. 3. Virtue is the only true good. Do not seek good in external things, but in virtue. Epictetus. Stoicism holds that the only thing that is truly good and valuable is virtue, not money, not status, not beauty. Why? Because all those external things are fleeting. They are outside our control, and they can be taken away in an instant. Virtue, however, resides in our character, in our way of thinking and acting. The 4 cardinal Stoic virtues are wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Wisdom is the ability to see life with clarity. Courage is the strength to do the right thing despite fear. Justice is treating others with fairness and respect. And temperance is self-control, moderation. When you act with virtue, you are aligned with your highest purpose, and that is a source of peace that no one can take from you. The value of your life is not in what you possess, but in how you live. Imagine a young entrepreneur, Leo, who is faced with a crucial decision to win a multi-million-dollar contract. His partner proposes an unethical strategy that involves lying and harming a smaller competitor. The temptation is enormous. The money would solve many of his problems, but Leo remembers what justice is. He chooses the difficult, righteous path. He rejects the proposal. He loses the contract, but he gains something much more valuable, his integrity. At the end of the day, he can sleep soundly knowing that his actions are in harmony with his values. His wealth is not measured in numbers, but in the weight of his character. Throughout the day, you will face many decisions. What is the easy way? And what is the right way? What is fear asking of you? And what is courage asking of you? What would make you proud at the end of the day, regardless of the outcome? Virtue is your guide. True wealth is not measured in the bank, but in the soul. Choose virtue, and you will be invincible. For adversity is an opportunity, the obstacle is the way. Marcus Aurelius. We often see obstacles as a negative thing, a problem to be avoided, but the Stoics teach us to see them as an opportunity. Think of metal being forged in fire, or a muscle being strengthened by weight. Without adversity, there is no growth. Without resistance, there is no strength. Every time you face a problem, you have the opportunity to practice one of the virtues. An unfair comment gives you the opportunity to practice patience and temperance. A failure gives you the opportunity to practice resilience. A challenge gives you the opportunity to practice courage. The obstacle is not an impediment to your progress. It is the path to your progress. It is not something that stops you. It is something that shapes you. Sarah, a young lawyer, learns that a very important case she has been preparing for months has fallen through. The client has backed out at the last minute. She could have felt defeated, blamed everyone, and given up. Instead, she used this adversity as a catalyst. She asked herself, what did I learn from this process? How can I improve my negotiation skills for next time? How can I strengthen my network to prevent this in the future? The obstacle did not stop her, it directed her. It forced her to be more strategic, stronger, and wiser. The failure became her teacher. What problem are you facing right now? What pain is bothering you? Instead of seeing it as a punishment, ask yourself, what virtue can I practice here? What lesson is this difficult moment trying to teach me? Face that obstacle with curiosity, not with fear. Don't be afraid of problems. Embrace them. They are not the end of the road. They are the road itself. 5. Perception is your reality. Things do not disturb us, but our opinion about things. Epictetus. Have you noticed how two people can experience the same event in a completely different way? One person might see a layoff as the end of the world, while another sees it as the perfect opportunity to start something new. What changed? The event was the same, but their perception was different. This is the most liberating lesson of Stoicism. The power is not in the circumstances, but in how we interpret them. An insult doesn't harm you unless you decide that it does. A delay doesn't frustrate you unless you choose to be frustrated. If you feel angry, sad, or frustrated, it is rarely because of what has happened, but because of the story you are telling yourself about what has happened. You are the screenwriter, the director, and the protagonist of your own mental movie. You can rewrite the script at any time. Daniel was in a cafe, working on his computer, when suddenly a waiter accidentally spilled coffee on him. Daniel could have gotten up furious, yelled at the waiter, and ruined both of their days. Instead, he realized it made no sense to get angry. It was an accident. The coffee was already spilled. His anger wouldn't dry it. Calmly, he got up, told the waiter not to worry, asked for a napkin, and continued with his day. His perception of what had happened was simple, an unfortunate but insignificant event, and with that perception, his reality was not affected by a simple accident. What is bothering you right now? Can you find a way to reinterpret it? To see the positive side? To see it with humor? To see it with compassion? You can't control what happens, but you can control the lens through which you view it. Change the lens, and you will change your experience. The outside world has no power over you. The only power it has is the one you give it. 6. Memento mori. Remember that you will die. Let death be before your eyes every day, and thus you will never think anything vile, nor desire anything with excess. Seneca. This meditation may sound grim at first, but in reality, it is one of the most liberating. Memento mori is a reminder of our own mortality, not to scare us, but to awaken us. Life is short. Every day is a gift, an opportunity that will not be repeated. When you remember that your time is limited, the things that once seemed important lose their weight. Do you really want to spend your precious time arguing over trifles, holding grudges, or pursuing goals that don't fulfill you? Death is not the end of life. It is what gives meaning to every moment we live. It is the great equalizer that reminds us that the only thing that matters is how we live, how we love, and how we use the time we have been given. Miguel was a workaholic. He spent 16 hours a day at the office, chasing promotions and money. His family saw him little. His friends had become distant. One day, a friend of his same age suffered a sudden heart attack. The news shook him to the core. It was a personal memento mori. He realized that if he died tomorrow, his epitaph would not say he accumulated a lot of money, but he never saw his children grow up. From that day on, although he continued to work with dedication, he prioritized his time. He began to have dinner with his family, go for walks, and call his friends. The memory of his own finitude gave him the clarity to live a life with purpose. Imagine for a moment that this is your last day. What would you do? Who would you call? What would you regret? What of what you worry about now would seem ridiculous? Don't postpone life. Don't wait for tomorrow. Life is happening right now. Don't live as if you are going to live forever. Live each day as if it were a precious gift, because it is. 7. The power of discipline. I prefer the pain of discipline to the pain of regret. Marcus Aurelius adapted discipline is not a chain that imprisons you. It is a key that liberates you. We often think of discipline as something difficult, an imposed obligation, but the Stoics saw it as an act of self-love. When you discipline yourself to do what is good for you in the long run, to exercise, to eat well, to study, to meditate, you are building a better future for yourself. Discipline is the ability to do what you know you should do, even when you don't feel like doing it. It is the bridge between your goals and your achievements. A lack of discipline leads to inertia, to procrastination, and ultimately, to regret. Choose conscious effort today so that you don't regret the outcome tomorrow. Stoicism teaches us to be tough on ourselves so that life doesn't have to be. Carolina wanted to become a successful writer. She dreamed of publishing a book, but every night, After work, she felt too tired to sit down and write. Instead of writing, she would watch shows or scroll through social media. She felt frustrated and made no progress. One day, she decided to change. She didn't try to write an entire book at once, but committed to writing 500 words every night. No matter how tired she was, at first, it was difficult, but little by little, it became a habit. The discipline of those 500 daily words led her, a year later, to have a complete manuscript. The discipline was not the obstacle. It was the vehicle that led her to her dream. Think of a goal you have. What habit, no matter how small, could you start today to get closer to it? What excuse do you make to yourself for not starting? Choose effort and commitment today. Choose discipline over comfort, and you will reap the reward in the future. Discipline is not a punishment. It is a gift. It is the engine that drives your dreams into reality. 8. Practice indifference to external things. Do not wish for things to happen as you wish, but wish for them to happen as they do, and you will be happy. Epictetus. This meditation invites us to cultivate a kind of indifference toward external things, such as wealth, status, the approval of others, or even health. This does not mean you should not work for them or take care of them. On the contrary, but it means you should not let your happiness depend on them. True peace does not come from having more, but from wanting less. When your happiness depends on something happening in the future or on you possessing something, you become a slave to those circumstances. The Stoics invite us to value external things for their utility, not for their ability to make us happy. If you have health, appreciate its usefulness. If you lose it, do not let that destroy your inner peace. Remember that your happiness and your value reside in your character, not in the things you have or don't have. Sophia was an influencer with a large number of followers. Her happiness fluctuated according to the number of likes and comments she received. If a post had fewer interactions, she felt insecure and sad. If it had many, she felt on top of the world. One day, a social media update accidentally deleted a large number of her followers. Sophia felt devastated, but in the midst of that crisis, she stopped to reflect. She realized that her value did not reside in a number on a screen, but in her ability to create, to connect, to be an authentic person. She decided to stop seeking external validation and focused on creating content that made her feel good, not on the one that gave her the most likes. Her happiness became unshakable because it no longer depended on external things. What are you afraid of losing? Your job? Your health? Someone's approval? Your money? Do not deny the importance of these things, but ask yourself, if I lost everything, who would I be? What would I have left? Your true essence, your character, is immutable. Focus on that. External things come and go. Your inner peace, your value, and your virtue are the only things no one can take from you. 9. The power of the journal at night. Examining what I have done in the day. I ask myself, what did I do today? What did I omit? What did I do wrong? Seneca paraphrased. The Stoics did not just live their philosophies, they wrote them down. They kept journals. Marcus Aurelius wrote his famous Meditations as a way of talking to himself, of remembering the lessons he needed to apply. The Stoic journal is not a record of events, it is a conversation with yourself. It is a place to examine your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. By keeping a journal, you practice metacognition, that is, thinking about your own thoughts. You become an observer of your mind. You can identify your negative patterns, your prejudices, your fears, and your strengths. And by putting them on paper, you take away their power. You realize that you are not your thoughts, but the one who observes them. The Stoic journal is your mental gym, where you train your mind to be stronger, wiser, and more serene. Matteo, a young student, suffered from constant anxiety. He felt like the world was closing in on him. A mentor recommended he keep a Stoic journal. At first, it felt strange, but every night, he began to write. He wrote about what had worried him during the day, analyzed whether those fears were reasonable or not, and asked himself what he could have done better. Little by little, he realized that many of his fears were unfounded. The simple act of writing down his thoughts made them less threatening. His journal became his refuge, his personal therapy, and the place where, night after night, he built a stronger mind. How often do you stop to examine your day? Do you know why you got angry? Why you felt frustrated? Today, take a moment, at the end of the day, to write down 3 things that went well and 3 things you could have done better. Don't judge yourself, just observe. The journal is not a record, it is a conversation. Talk to yourself with honesty, and you will build an unbreakable mind. 10. The practice of premeditation of evils. Prepare for the misfortunes that could occur. In this way, When they happen, you will not be taken by surprise. Seneca, this technique, known as premeditatio malorum, invites us to meditate on the worst possible scenarios. What would happen if you lose your job? What would happen if your relationship ends? What would happen if you lose your health? This may sound depressing, but its purpose is the opposite. By imagining these events, you take away their power to surprise you. You realize that you can survive. You realize that the pain will not destroy you, but will make you stronger. By mentally preparing for adversity, you become more resilient. You realize that most suffering is in the anticipation and fear, not in the event itself. This practice helps you appreciate what you have now and not take anything for granted. Maria had a terrible fear of flying. Every time she had to travel, she spent days in anguish. A friend, who practiced Stoicism, suggested premeditatio malorum. Instead of avoiding the thought, he encouraged her to think about it. What's the worst that could happen? Maria, with her fear, thought of a catastrophe, but her friend said, yes, it could happen, and if it does, is there anything you can do about it? No. What if the plane lands without any problems? Which is much more likely. The exercise helped her realize that her fear was useless. Mental preparation did not make her fearful, but more realistic and, paradoxically, more calm. Her fear ceased to be a chain that bound her to anxiety. What fear is controlling you today? What is the worst-case scenario you could imagine? Think about it. If that scenario came true, how would you react? What would you do to overcome it? Realize that you are stronger than you think. Don't be afraid of the darkness. Look it in the eye and realize that the light you carry within is stronger than any shadow. 11. Compassion and human connection. We are made for cooperation, like feet, like hands, like eyelids, like the rows of the upper and lower teeth. Marcus Aurelius. Stoicism is not a philosophy for hermits. The Stoics believe that we are social beings by nature and that our highest virtue is justice and benevolence toward others. Our happiness is intrinsically linked to the happiness of others. When you feel frustrated by someone's behavior, remember that that person, just like you, is doing the best they can with the knowledge and tools they have. Maybe they are suffering, maybe they are afraid. Practicing compassion does not mean condoning their behavior, but understanding that their conduct is the result of their own perception and their own struggles. By practicing empathy, you free yourself from anger and resentment and connect with your own humanity. One day, at work, a colleague, Juan, was unfairly rude to Sophia. She could have been offended and held a grudge, but instead, Sophia remembered Marcus Aurelius's teachings. She stopped and thought, what could be going on in Juan's life for him to act this way? Later, she found out that his father was seriously ill and that he was going through a very difficult time. Suddenly, Sophia's anger turned into compassion. Instead of reacting with resentment, she approached Juan and offered her support. Not only did she resolve the conflict, but she also strengthened a bond of friendship. Think of someone who has frustrated you. Instead of judging, try to understand what could be happening in their world. By putting yourself in their shoes, you not only heal the relationship, but you also heal your own mind, freeing it from the weight of anger. We are all on the same journey. When you extend a hand, you not only help another, but you also save yourself. 12. Use time wisely. Life is long enough if you know how to use it. Seneca. How many times have you felt that time is slipping through your hands? The most common complaint is I don't have time. But Seneca tells us the opposite. We have more than enough time. We just don't use it wisely. We waste time worrying, on empty entertainment, on meaningless conversations, on complaining and regretting. Stoicism invites us to be mindful of our time, to be intentional with every minute. Ask yourself daily, am I using this time to build the life I want? Or am I letting it pass me by? This does not mean you have to be productive every second, but that you consciously choose how you spend your time, whether it's working, resting, or being with those you love. Life is not measured by the number of years, but by the quality of the moments. Laura felt overwhelmed. There was not enough time in the day for anything. She decided to do a simple exercise. For a week, she wrote in a notebook what she spent every hour of the day on. She was surprised to see how much time she spent on social media, and how much time she spent watching television without even paying attention. She realized that she did not lack time, but that she was not using it with intention. From that day on, she began to make conscious decisions. She set aside time to read, to meditate, to spend time with her partner. Her life did not become longer, but it felt fuller and more purposeful. What are you investing your time in today? What would you like to invest it in? Don't wait for time to appear. Create it. Block out spaces in your schedule for what really matters. Time is your most valuable asset. Use it as such. Don't live as if time were unlimited. Live every moment with intention. Life is long enough if you live it to the fullest. We have reached the end of this journey. I thank you from the bottom of my heart for giving me these more than 2 hours, for trusting these words, this voice, to accompany your morning. I know it's not easy. The world asks you to run, to compete, to worry. But today you chose to stop. You chose to listen. You chose to look inward. And that, my friend, is the greatest act of courage that exists. Remember that life is not a sprint. It is a marathon of endurance. And every fall, every obstacle, every mistake is not a failure. It is an opportunity to get up with more strength, with more wisdom. Like a tree that, the stronger the wind, the deeper its roots. I invite you not to let these words be forgotten. Don't let them be just another episode. Make these meditations a daily ritual. Choose one upon waking up. Close your eyes, breathe, and remember what you have learned. Today can be the beginning of your new path. A path of peace, purpose, and inner strength. And if you doubt tomorrow, if the chaos of the world catches you again, if you feel that you are losing your way, I will be here. Come back to this space, close your eyes, and I will remind you that you can handle anything, that the strength you need is not in the outside world, but has always been within you. If these words have accompanied you, if this message has sustained you, I ask you with the greatest sincerity and humility to subscribe and share this episode with someone who needs a little light in their morning, because growing together is also part of the journey. Thank you, and until next morning.